MP Vincent Smith. It relates to allegations he received security upgrades and other benefits from Bosasa over a 3-year period starting 2015. Last year, former Bosasa COO Angelo Agrizzi testified Smith received a monthly 100,000 rand to influence committees in Parliament. Although he denied some of the allegations, Smith claimed monies he received were loans from Agrizzi. Meanwhile, yesterday, the Commission heard former Cabinet Minister Mokonyane, who said that businessman and former ANC MP Thaba Mofamadi had paid a 2 million rand deposit for a 3 million rand car.
When you testified, had you forgotten about the 40th birthday party?
A U-turn on her earlier submission before the Zondo Commission. During her appearance under oath, Mokonyane stood by these claims.
Is there a party that was ever held at Victorian Guest House?
There's been many parties at that place.
I mean, your party?
No.
You've never had a party there?
But now pressed in a corner, a different recollection of where her 40th birthday party was held.
Do you agree with me that the evidence you gave that day, where you denied that there was a party at Guest House, was misleading?
Now, a different story.
In your evidence, last time when you testified, we dealt with this issue. And you said your birthday party was never held at this place. Mm. You said no birthday party of yours was held at this place. Why did you say that?
In my mind and in my focus, I was contesting what was asserted as a fact, the break your leg 50th birthday.
As the commission continued, she conceded that former Bosasa CEO Gavin Watson was a family friend, but said she doesn't remember seeing both Watson and Agrizzi at her event that took place in 2003. Earlier, the commission heard from Victoria Guesthouse owner Frederick Gauthier, who revealed that indeed the two men were at the party.
Was Mr. Agrizzi at the function as well?
Yes, they were.
He was there.
Gavin Watson, yeah.
Mokonyane insisted she didn't recall seeing them at her party.
Nobody spoke on behalf of Bosasa. Nobody came to me and said, I'm here on behalf of Bosasa.
The former minister also denied any knowledge of security upgrades at her home being paid for by Bosasa. Last year, Agrizzi testified that they assembled a team led by Richard Leroux to install and maintain security system at the Mokonyane residence.
My evidence is that I have no knowledge of a CCTV system that was installed by Bosasa in the house.
And a bombshell, a 3 million rand car for her 50th birthday.
Who paid the 2,200,000?
It was our family friend, Thaba.
I didn't get the name?
It was our family friend, Thaba.
Sure, he has a surname.
Oh, it was Thaba Mofamadi.
So it was a loan. I want to understand. It was a loan to your husband.
It was a business arrangement.
The commission will resume on Friday by hearing evidence from Vincent Smith, which relates to the benefits he also received from Bosasa in 2015. Ntantla Khatlani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
All right, the State Capture Commission has started for the morning. Let's go there now live.
It's really not relevant for purposes of the hearing. So you might wish to reflect on that, and for future matters, members of the legal team must make sure that every document that is placed before the Commission is relevant.
Yes. Chairperson, the only problem you'll see in most of the correspondence is an annexures to Mr. Vincent Smith's affidavit.
Oh, okay. Well,
so they go in as annexures. So.
Then if it's annexures, then you might not be able to do anything with that, except that.
Chair, for instance, you will see You'll see
The
from
one at page 0 or 102 comes before Mr. Smith's affidavit, so it can't be an annexure. It's a covering letter, I think, saying here is his affidavit.
yes.
But we don't have to go through everyone, just as long as you get a chance to apply your mind to the question whether everything that's here is relevant.
Yes.
Because there have been times when bundles are put up, you look at the bundle, it's full, but ultimately only half of the documents are referred to. So the question is, why are the other documents here?
No, I get your point. And then it also can get also confusing when the report has to be written. Now, when one has to recall whether a certain issue was referred to, and does it form part is it part of the record or not? No, I understand.
So no, that's fine. Yes, I think Mr. Agrizzi's evidence with regard to Mr. Smith, it was Mr. Agrizzi's evidence together with that of Mr. Leroux.
Yes.
Related to 3 matters. Well, one, it is that the thrust of Mr. Agrizzi's evidence was that for a certain period of time, they were trying to get Mr. Smith to cooperate with BOSASA. I use my own word when I say cooperate, so that he could assist BOSASA with regard to certain matters, and he was not giving them any attention, and they had to speak to Mr. Cedric Froelich to get Mr. Froelich to talk to him. And he said after Mr. Froelich had talked to him, and I think after some meeting or meetings, then Mr. Smith, according to Mr. Agrizzi, had a changed attitude towards them and cooperated. And he said that BOSASA gave Mr. Smith money, I think he said every month. And then he said they gave him money for his daughter's studies. And then he said they also installed some security features at his house. I think those are the matters that they covered. And I think Mr. Leroux says he's the person who went to Mr. Smith's house to install certain security features. So that's I think that's the sum total of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
And if I may add there, Chair, on the papers, the real issue is whether there were monthly payments, because the amounts paid, 2 amounts paid for the daughter's university fees are admitted, and the only issue there is whether it was a loan or it was merely money given.
Yeah.
And then it's a bribe.
Or a what?
Yes, or a present.
Mm.
And then insofar as equipment is concerned, also there is no dispute there. The only dispute is about the amount of, the value of the equipment that was fitted.
Yes. Yeah.
So as I agree with the Chair that it's almost, the inquiry is almost, the evidence is almost on a limited issues.
Yeah. Okay, all right. You said you were ready, but I understand that there may be a request for some time before some adjournment before we start.
Chair,
or not?
The reason why there was an indication of a short adjournment in time is because the affidavits of Mr. Agrizzi and Leroux were received late, and apparently there has not been sufficient time to consult with the client. But the legal representatives of Mr. Smith are here, and can they address you now and see what they want?
Yes, they can place themselves on record. No, let him go to the podium. That must be sanitized first.
Morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Chair, my name is Moroka Palani, Junior Counsel for Mr. Smith. My leader is Malindi SC, who for reasons of being on duty as an acting judge is unable to be present today. Mr. Smith is very eager to proceed today. Although there were documents that have material bearing on today's proceedings that were only received last night, and I personally only saw them this morning. He has, however, still given us a preliminary indication that he's still eager to proceed, with a proviso that in the event that any of the documents that were delivered late are to be relied upon, we would request a brief recess to apply ourselves to those. I don't think it will exceed 30 minutes to consider those, but all in all, he is still eager to proceed with today's proceedings.
Yes. I think it might be better that I give you time, or give him time to look at the documents before we start, so that when we start, it's smooth. We also avoid, if we can, an arrangement in terms of which he might have to come back and all of that. We do sometimes just to avoid witnesses coming back, say we'll send written questions and an affidavit can be prepared, but it's not ideal, but sometimes it can be done. Looking at how narrow the issues are, I have no doubt that there is enough time for us to finish with this evidence today. So, because as I understand the position with regard to the payment for the daughter's studies, he doesn't deny that payment was made. The only question is whether it was a loan or simply a bribe or a reward for what may have been seen by BOSASA as cooperation and him assisting them. With regard to the security features in his house, in his affidavit, he seems to accept that was done, although I came across something, I think a statement that may have been issued by the ANC on his behalf, which suggested that the security features at home were not installed by BOSASA. But that statement was admitting the money that was paid in regard to the studies of the daughter, but saying it was a loan. But it was saying that as far as security features at home, that had nothing to do with BOSASA. But obviously, if I understood that statement correctly, Mr. Smith will deal with it. So the issues are quite narrow. So I think maybe I should give you some time. We are at 10:15. I can give you up to 11. That gives you 45 minutes. And I guess that should be enough.
More than enough, Chair.
Yeah, and then we can start at 11, then we won't have a tea break, which we normally have at 15:15. We'll then just go on.
As you please, Chair.
Is that fine?
That is in order, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, then we are going to adjourn, and we will resume at 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Chair.
We adjourn.
All rise.